So on behalf of Barrow, I would like to welcome you all for today's webinar from Barrow Insights. So in today's webinar, we will have our speaker providing insights into evaluating sourcing options of purchasing and leasing in mining industry. So before we move ahead with the presentation, I have some general set of instruction as always. Please note all attendees will be placed on mute. During the course of the presentation, if you would like to post a question, you will find a box on the right-hand side which is indicated in red, which you see in the screen. Request you to type your question and hit the send button. And as and when the presentation is progress, I will note down the high-frequency questions and will post it to the presenter at the end of the session. If you are experiencing any connection issues, I request you to close the window, go back to the link that was shared, and try connecting again. If there are further problems, request you to please email Puneet at puneet.ramal@barrow-inc.com, which is also there in the screen. So moving on, let me quickly introduce you to the speaker of today's webinar, Arun. Arun is a mining category expert at Barrow. He's worked in the past and he's been with Barrow for more than a year now and has extensive knowledge and expertise, and this has helped him to support various projects which involve developing procurement insights along with different aspects of the mining value chain. He has authored several thought leadership papers, quickly to name some of them: rubber price sensitivity and conveyor belts, inventory management and asset utilization, key to procurement success, and many more. So without further ado, let me pass it on to the presenter, Arun.
Thank you, Sharan. Once again, I welcome all of you for today's webinar. Let me quickly take a couple of minutes to set the stage and the backdrop for today's presentation. Over the last 5 to 6 years, nearly 60% of the mining companies involved with both metal and coal mining registered a significant increase in their production. This indeed is an excellent sign of growth, but if one looks at the actual balance sheet of these companies, we would realize that these companies actually did not show a noteworthy result with a top-line growth. To quote a quick example, let us consider the gold mining industry. For the period 2011 to 2014, the ratio of market price to cash cost were creeping above 1. This implies these companies were not able to realize the cash cost incurred. I'm sure we would like to analyze the reasons as why this is happening. The reasons can be attributed to 3 major factors. First, the external factor of falling mineral prices. Second, the internal factor of increasing cash cost. And third, the geological factor of depleting ore grade. Now, factor 1 and 3, that is the external and geological factor, is totally dependent on the markets and the availability of resources. However, one thing that we can focus on and bring it under our control is factor 2, the internal factor of increasing cash cost. And this needs to be addressed with prime importance. Let us now take up an ideal situation and try and analyze where and how mining companies spend their money. Costs incurred in mining are for mining consumables, labor, energy, but the major spend involved in any mining operation would be that of the capital expenditure, especially with the huge and massive machineries that are required for the operations. I'm sure companies constantly question themselves on how they can cut costs when it comes to machinery spend. Let me help you with an example. Let us go to the case of coal mining industry. In order to increase the present production by 10%, the industry ideally requires an investment increase by the same margin, out of which 40% is what is required for the new machinery. Similar is the case of iron ore and gold. Mechanization is critical to ensure improved productivity, minimum labor dependence, and maximum safety. Machine forms a major spend category for any mining company, and it has its impact on both investment and operational cash flow. Procurement of capital-intensive heavy earth-moving machines, or HEMM as it is known, has been through business equity or corporate loans till now. Limited source of capital is forcing the mining companies to think for an out-of-the-box solution. The picture is clear. You need to reduce your spend on capital-intensive machines. There are methods by which one can cut down cost. A very promising of this alternate method is that of leasing the equipment. And this is not a new method. This has been in practice for a while. And moving on, we will try to understand how this method is helpful and has a significant impact in reducing the cost. Let us begin with analyzing the global mining scenario. The industry output is not being reflected in the top line. This is because the industry is in a vicious circle involving several internal and external factors. Gold touched at an ever low of $1,200 an ounce. This was about 10% lower than the all-in-all cash cost for most of the mining companies. Similarly, iron ore prices tumbled to a 6-year low. Dropping commodity prices has a direct impact on the revenues. During the period 2009 to 12, major mining companies registered a net profit growth of 38%, but the operational expense grew at 56%. Reduced revenues means lesser capital for budget, and a reduced budget means lesser capital intensive equipment. This would aid only in marginal production increase. There is an external factor of reducing ore grade, which means the resultant production has a price value lesser than what it was previously because the metal content in the ore mined is lower now. This in turn reflects in lower income and the cycle repeats. 2013 was a year that forced mining engineers to realign expectations. The ongoing market volatility is forcing mining companies to change the way they do business. And now the position on cost curve is once again a primary focus for the companies. To bring down capital expense, mining companies must go beyond tweaking their current cost structure. The key focus is on increasing productivity and rebalancing the capital spend. Volatile commodity prices are forcing mining companies to enter a period of structural change. To rectify cost overruns and improve capital efficiency, companies need to sharpen their focus, especially and reevaluate their operating models. Let me explain this further. As we all know, the mining industry is on a downturn. Though there has been a significant increase in production for major minerals over the years, the falling ore grade relates to requirement of more ore to satisfy the same demand. I'll make it more simple. That is, to get 1 ton of mineral, companies were earlier mining 10 tons of ore, whereas now, because of ore depletion, to obtain the same tonnage, companies will have to unearth more than 10 tons of ore. We can put that in the form of worm graphs, and over here we have the iron ore production, and over here we have the gold and the coal production. The growth output is offset by average depletion of ore. The industry output grew at 3 to 5% for the mentioned period, that is 2009 to 12, but the ore grade depletion has been playing the spoil sport. There has been an average depletion of 1 to 3% year over year. Mining a lower grade ore deposit has a lot of hidden cost associated. Companies need to scale up and meet the growing demands. Considering the fact that ore grade depletion, they need to keep up the capital cost under control just because You need more equipment to mine out the same required ore which you were mining out earlier. Companies cannot afford to reinvest in new machinery all the time, as this will result in a decreased top line. Now, is this the only reason? Is this a cause of concern for the mining company? Moving forward, we can see production volumes have increased, but the cost have also increased. Again, production volumes are expected to move up. The production volumes between the year 2009 to 12, as I am highlighting right now, went up by 3 to 5% in case of gold and iron ore. There is a long-term demand fundamental which is looking bright, that is a 7% demand expected for the period 2015 to 18, but we don't see the ratio of cash cost and the market price in the similar tone. Why is this so? The real concern for a mining company is the falling commodity prices and increasing cash cost. The year 2014 saw commodity prices dropping to a new low. As we mentioned earlier, gold prices touched $1,200 an ounce, which was 10% lower than the all-in-all cash cost for most of the mining companies. Similarly, coal, iron ore and bauxite prices are at the rock bottom over now. These are not expected to rebound till later half of 2018. Let us consider this graph, market price to cash cost ratio. The ratio value of less than 1 indicates minimal revenue or even loss. The state of decreased revenue, as highlighted in the graph, is expected to continue till later half of 2018. As the increasing production cost offset revenue target, expenses is to be reduced and production is to be increased with minimal capital expenditure. Expenses is to be reduced. Moving forward, procuring mining equipment is often followed by a very heavy burden of financing. A recent study concluded that the net debt of the top 40 mining companies is up by 43%, and there has been a drop of 23% in revenues for these companies. This means securing a loan for these buying out machines is becoming more and more difficult because banks around the globe will tighten their lending standards. As metal prices are not expected to rebound until later half of 2013, as highlighted in the graph, how can the companies increase output? When a mine owner faces a trade-off between outsourcing mine development activities and in-house skill development, the options available to him are purchasing the required talents or leasing out the required machinery. What should companies opt for? In such a scenario of no capital to part with, miners can opt for leasing as it has advantages of tax benefits, flexible payment terms, low equipment acquisition cost, and there is no problem of machine obsolescence. Industry. The mining industry follows an equipment purchase trends in correlation with the commodity price cycle. Iron ore prices versus the purchase of dumper and the leasing of dumper have been highlighted here. In the given scenario, we can observe several facts. The graph indicates year-over-year increase in the price of iron ore. This graph indicates the year-over-year change in sales of dumper. In this scenario, we are talking of dump trucks. And this graph indicates the year-over-year change in leasing contracts for this particular equipment. It can be inferred from the graph that the purchase of dumper follows iron ore price cycle. In fact, there is a lag before the equipment sales drop down. I am highlighting the years where this lag has been: 2009, 2011, and 2013. Lease contracts follow the iron ore prices and equipment inversely. Again, I'm highlighting the area 2003, 2004, 2005, 2007, 2008, and now 2012. Iron ore prices are not expected to rebound till later half of 2018. So are the prices of gold, coal, and other major mined minerals. From the data sample collected, we can infer that this, I mean to say the highlighted area, that is 2014-15, is an ideal time for leasing capital intensive equipment. A few cases of early switches have been highlighted here. We saw a recent shift among a global cement manufacturing company with an annual spend on machine procurement of over $100 million for their HEM heavy earth moving equipment for an open pit limestone mine. The major challenges which they faced was increasing production cost, increasing lead time for new equipments, and increasing downtime of their equipments. The company valued potential savings from hiring an equipment, and how they valued the savings was through a net present value analysis, that is an NPV analysis on mining equipment's purchasing cost versus the leasing cost. What we considered was the capital payment, depreciation, interest payment, residual value, and of course the tax credits. The results was astonishing. The company would have made 18% category savings if they go for leasing the equipment. So I'll move on to another case where another gold mining company, they wanted to increase their production without investing on machinery, and they leased mining equipment such as drilling, haulage, and earth moving categories. The company made a 13% category spend saved from leasing the so-called equipments of dump trucks, drill rigs, and dozer. When we extrapolate the results using scenario models for different types of equipment and different periods, we observe that the opportunity for leasing increases substantially for high capital equipment, especially for a low time period of usage. The key factors which would differentiate these two options between purchasing and leasing would be the labor rate, the energy rate, and equipment production cost. We expect leasing to gain high favorability in the high capital equipment such as hydraulic shovel, dump trucks, drill rigs, and motor grader. However, considering the flexibility in use and life of equipment, we expect purchasing to gain medium favorability for water sprinklers and related equipments. As we saw, mining industry is facing a vicious circle of dropping revenue prices, reduced spend on machinery, deteriorating ore grade, and falling commodity prices. The silver bullet for this vicious circle is increasing production with minimal spend in machinery. Considering the present scenario, leasing can be an ideal solution for cashless purchase, thereby increasing production without blocking the capital, and the capital which have been saved can be utilized for other purposes. Thank you.
Thank you, Arun. Thanks for your inputs regarding this topic and your inputs on how leasing as an alternate method is gaining prevalence and importance in the mining field. So during the course of the presentation, we had a couple of questions for which we would need answers from you, Arun. So to start off with, one of our audience had posted a question regarding the maintenance aspect of leased equipment. So what about the maintenance aspects with the leased equipment? So would it lie from the person from where the equipments have been leased, or how does that work? Could you throw some light on it?
Yes, of course. There are different types of leases. Leases can be subdivided based on their functionality, structure, number of financiers, and the location of the partners. And in this case, we'll see the functionality aspect. Based on that, there are two types of leases, financial leases and operational leases. So in this scenario, I would opt operational lease, that is wet lease, where the operational know-how, insurance and maintenance is an added advantage. This will be taken care by the lessee.
Thank you, Arun. The next question that we have is regarding, in terms of the ownership that you have talked about. With respect to ownership, especially when it comes to leasing of equipments, and probably during the lease and after the lease. So how does this work out? So could you throw some light regarding the ownership aspects, please?
Based on the ownership, well, there are different types of leases again. Hire purchase lease would be an option, which is like the financial lease, where at the end you get to buy out the equipment. But this should be mentioned in the beginning of the contract itself, and this is often available only for high cost items. In fact, we would be doing a net present value of the cost involved in purchasing versus leasing, and based on that, if leasing is an option, then you go for it, and if it is purchasing, you have an option of hire purchase versus the cash on purchase.
Thanks, Arun. So I think this helps us to understand how the ownership could be worked around, and I think at the time of leasing is when companies will have to take a call as to how they want to go around with respect to leasing of these machineries. Thanks for that. We have another question with regard to the expenses, especially when it comes to long-term aspects with respect to leasing. So just wanted to understand how this works when it comes to long-term expenses vis-a-vis the leasing aspects, and especially when we're looking at these kind of machineries. So your thoughts on that, please.
In case the lease term is more than 75% of the useful life of the asset, or if the lease rentals equal to the market value of the machine, the net present value when you calculate, you should ideally opt for a financial lease, which is like a hire purchase. The biggest advantage of lease would be that the cost is spread over a number of years. Thus, there is no need for you to pay the entire amount upfront. The entire lease rental is tax deductible, and this will significantly help you maintain the cash flow. Poor cash flow is the main cause of small business failures.
Thank you, Arun. One last question that we have from our audience. Just in case, I think this is a very good question that we have. What about the obligation to pay for the entire lease term in case there's no requirement of the machinery after a very short course of operation?
This again relates to the functionality aspect of the leases. Based on that, there are two types of leases, financial lease and the operational lease. So in this case, I would opt the operational lease in case of wet lease or the dry lease. There is a cancellation option. It is very much flexible, but the financial lease, it's not. An early termination would imply large losses. So for a small period of operation, I would go for an operational lease.
Thank you, Arun. I think that was insightful. We have no more questions. Please feel free to drop an email to Puneet if you have any follow-up questions for this webinar. We will be more than happy to address the same through email. This brings us to the end of the today's webinar and presentation. Once again, I would like to apologize and sorry for the inconvenience caused and delayed start in the beginning. Thanks a lot and have a great day until we meet for the next webinar. Thank you. Bye-bye.